I can't decide which was my favourite jab. Whether it was Rayner saying, "It's a pleasure to welcome yet another Deputy Prime Minister to the dispatch box, the third deputy I've faced in 3 years, third time's a charm," or if it was Dowden saying, "Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner are the Phil and Holly of British politics."
Oh, give me Phil and Holly any day of the week. My God, that was painful. I mean, lame gags, kind of weak jibes, overlong questions. Somebody edit those questions down, because it was one of those Prime Minister's questions, you know, with the deputies, where the deputies didn't do the deputy title that much justice, I'm sad to say. There was one thing, and one thing only, I thought was interesting about that Prime Minister's questions. It was the one at the end, and it was the exchange between the ex-Cabinet Minister, Simon Clarke, and Oliver Dowden. Now, viewers might have seen some of the reporting in the last few days around questions around what's going on in Teesside. Now, the Conservative Tees Valley Mayor there has come into questions about quite how a development in the area has been conducted. And there's an interesting question for how the Downing Street and how the government machine respond to this. And what's absolutely clear is that Oliver Dowden, and I'm sure he's speaking for Rishi Sunak, is going to stand shoulder to shoulder with Ben Houchen, the Tees Valley Mayor, and they made that absolutely clear. So there's going to be a fight, a political fight about what happened in Teesside, and Downing Street right now think that the politics of this is all in doubling down and standing with him in the face of lots of questions, no proven allegations, but lots of questions and lots of calls for inquiries.
OK, so something to watch. Looking at how Dowden did in the round, I mean, I've never seen him so animated. How do you think he did?
You got to see why Oliver Dowden was, for the last 5 Prime Ministers, the backroom guy supplying the lines. You know, there were some quite interesting lines there. The one about Conservatives stop the boats, Labour rig votes. Worth pointing out, Labour actually walked back from their plan to give EU nationals the vote in general elections. That's not part of their plan at the moment. But what I think is interesting and worth a lot of scrutiny is when Oliver Dowden throws in facts about the economy. So he said fastest growth rate in the G7. Now, we've been fact-checking that during the Prime Minister's questions. Yes, if you look at the figure annually, if you look at the 2021 or 2022 figures, that is true in comparison to Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan and the US. But when you look at the quarter-on-quarter growth, actually the UK is doing pretty abysmally. It's the second worst. Ed Conway, our economics editor, calls it total nonsense to boast about the fastest growth rate in the GDP growth in the G7. If you're actually talking about it's actually the slowest. So be careful what you wish for. It depends what time period Oliver Dowden is talking about. You have to listen really hard when they make claims about the economy. In the end, I think viewers will know whether they think the British economy is doing well or badly.